that was fighting for gay rights, and people were killed.
Nobody was killed at Stonewall.
Nobody was killed.
There was a time in the fan base when the idea of a season comprised of winners from the franchise was nothing but a wish that deep down we knew was never gonna happen. At least that's what we thought until it became a reality in 2022, with the release of All-Star 7 featuring 8 winners. Since then, we know that All Winners 2 will eventually happen. The only variable is who is gonna be making the final cast. But more so, who do you think should even be considered for it? Some hope it'll be predominantly a mix of main season winners and all-star season winners, with others hoping to see representation from international franchises and versus the world editions. Ultimately, there's only going to be a small number of queens that actually get invited. So then, what would All Winners 2 look like? And what can each of the potential choices bring to the competition if given the chance again? Well, for this video, I'm going to be focusing on potential candidates for the second All Winner season, why they would each be great from a viewer experience, until the end of the video where we boil it down to comprise our final cast. But who do you think will end up being the winner joining Jinx Monsoon in the All Winners Hall of Fame? Let me know in the comments. But before we start, are you someone that usually eats something while watching YouTube videos? Well, today's video is sponsored by my friends at Factor. Look, I didn't know what to expect when I first started getting their meals, but it's been such a game changer in terms of sheer convenience and trying to stay healthy. Factor's chef-crafted meals are always fresh, never frozen, and ready in just 2 minutes. No more grocery store runs or procrastinating cooking because of how much work it will take. Instead, you can have amazing food delivered straight to your door. For example, I get to pick from over 35 different meals each week, with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. So there's always something tailored for your individual needs. It's super tasty, nutritious, with fresh ingredients every time. And honestly, Factor is a service that most people have wished for a long time could exist so they could improve their eating habits. I mean, they even have great snacks and smoothies that keep you energized throughout the day. So even when you have a busy day, you can still eat healthy and not have to get tired from cooking. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50GreenGay to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. This is a sponsorship that I personally was using even before they reached out to me. You don't even have to commit. You can just buy 1 box at half the price just to check it out. Now, let's begin. First, we're going to be looking at the winners from the main seasons of the franchise. This means the first 16 winners. Off the bat, we have to look at heavy hitters. Bob the Drag Queen, the winner of season 8, who is probably the highest on the list in terms of sheer curiosity to see how she'd fare in the modern era of the series. Granted, without a doubt, she would do well since she is, after all, super versatile. It's just there's also more of an excitement for what her approach to the runways would be. Naturally, on season 8, she went down as having some of the least polished showcases, her robot look being just as referenced as Violet Chachki's step-down look, but for the completely opposite reasons. In the years since then, she's vastly improved her fashion aesthetic. In fact, she's actually even gone beyond just dragged and proved that even when she's out of her guiche, she's still actively trying to dress up. What's more is how much her star power has expanded since. Her winning the title of America's Next Drag Superstar in 2016, while still super pivotal, is not the biggest achievement in her career. Some achievements that are now under her belt include starring in 3 seasons of HBO's We're Here that received several Emmy nominations, hosted Madonna's World Tour that went on to break several records, released multiple comedy sets, produced a bunch of videos, along with her first book that will be released later this month. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Essentially, Bob would be a frontrunner off the bat, and many people's, including my, pick to win. Although I've had some close friends of mine say that while they see Bob for sure making it to the final 4, they don't think that it's that set in stone for her to end up taking the crown. Bob's also made a comment in an interview from the past year where she discussed how even if she did get invited, she'd have to put a lot of her current business on hold to do filming, meaning she would theoretically lose money in order to accommodate filming the season. But maybe it's just my delusion, yet I truly believe that once she does get an invite, she will lock in and prepare for it as needed, since after all, it would mean a lot to the legacy she leaves behind. Now, up next on the list, we have Violet Chachki, the winner of season 7. It's now been a full 10 years since its finale originally aired. Seeing Violet on season 7 was the second time since Tyra Sanchez on season 2 that a 21-year-old won the competition. Violet was a powerhouse of talent, with a key highlight of her trajectory being her polarizing personality. She just had a bunch of confidence from the get-go, and sort of a snarkiness about her. Yet, this was backed up by talent. Keep in mind that in a season largely dominated dominated by comedy challenges, she was able to get by even if it wasn't her strength. Most importantly, in her post-reign life, she solidified herself as one of the top fashion queens ever, constantly trying to find ways of outdoing herself and being responsible for setting a new standard for step-down looks. Without a doubt, she's built a framework around her that has her expectations through the roof in terms of what we will see her deliver, especially on the main stage. As of recently, during the airing of All Stars 9, Violet made a comment about how Plastique Tiara's runway package actually inspired her, or I guess raised the stakes a lot more for when she eventually makes her return, should she decide to do so. Plus, having Violet be the fashionista slash mean girl of the group would be a great contrast to Bob the Drag Queen. So then, who'd be next? Well, we should consider Bibi Zahara Benet, the winner of season 1, to return to our screens. Alright, listen, I know you're probably thinking to yourself that it wouldn't make sense for Bibi to return when she already competed on All Stars 3, becoming the first winner to have ever returned to compete on an All-Star season, but I beg to differ. Season 1 was a pilot edition, filmed in Rue's garage, so it made sense when she was invited back to All Stars 3, not necessarily with the goal of her winning, but more so to reintroduce her to the new fan base of RuPaul's Drag Race that was now 10 times the size that it was when her original season aired. The filming of All Stars 3 happened over 7 years ago, so there's for sure been a lot of growth from her side since then. What's more is that All Stars 3 served as proof that Bibi did have what it takes to keep up with the new format of the series, with all the modern challenges that exist. Even though she did struggle when it came to sewing slash design challenges, that is only one weak area that she would have to overcome. Or she could just get someone like Aja to make the dress for her, like how Raja was the oldest representative in All Stars 7, bringing another layer of excitement to the competition. So Bibi returning to represent season 1 would elevate the presence of the overall cast, and she'd have the storyline as the first queen to ever be crowned by RuPaul, to try to show off her talents against others in her direct circle. Moving on, for a long time, Sasha Velour was considered one of the weakest winners, because she had one of the weaker track records out of the queens that made it to the top 4 of season 9. However, she spent her time after getting the crown inadvertently proving to everyone that there really was something special that she was bringing into the winner circle that night that the season finale aired. All of the performance we've seen her do in the last 8 years since then, especially in her Smoke and Mirrors show, could in itself each be a talent show on Drag Race, and probably win regardless of what season it was plopped into. Her creativity is really hard to match, just because of how well she does it playing with the audience's expectation, while still delivering something that's super polished. It's been rumored that apparently she was invited to be a lip sync assassin on All Stars 5, but rejected it since she suspected that producers wanted her to face off against Shea Coulee again, and she didn't want to take away from her moment, making me wonder what would another Sasha Velour lip sync on the main stage look like. This past year, Sasha confirmed that she would return to compete only if Sasha Colby, the winner of season 15, also comes back, bringing us of course to Sasha Colby. On her season, it truly felt like Sasha had zero competition. Some may agree and others may not, although looking at the facts, when we see the finalist of season 15, Mistress Isabelle Brooks only had one challenge win, so it didn't seem like Rue or the judges gravitated towards her, which was hard given the big mark she left in the competition. Then there was Lux Noir London, who, while she did have 2 wins, wouldn't make it to the top 2. So then, if we consider the fact that Anitra was the runner-up, this would mean that she was Sasha's biggest competition. But even then, I don't think anyone that had actually paid attention to the season would have seen her being crowned over Sasha. Although, what's the point in saying all this? Well, having Sasha Colby return to all winners would be like having her actually have genuine competition that is up to her level. It would be like having a legend actually compete among fellow legends. Naturally, casting the 2 Sashas would be a must if we want either of them to agree to coming back. Before we continue, you're probably thinking that there's only a certain amount of queens that will actually be able to fit into the cast. Well, keep in mind that while I will be listing out potential candidates that would be exciting to see back, we will be dwindling down all of them to a top 8. That being said, Bianca Del Rio, the winner of season 6, always had me wondering, even when I finished season 6, what it is she would have brought to the table had she competed on literally any other season. There was really not even a single challenge on season 6 that she didn't at least do a good job at. The problem is that for the longest time, Bianca has not been interested in returning, especially because she doesn't need that moment in the spotlight again. She quite literally just finished yet another sold-out world tour of the stand-up comedy set. So if it's about relevancy, it isn't exactly something she needs the show for. The last time we saw her was in All Stars 6, when they did the gag of having her pretend to be a lip-sync assassin, only for her to reveal that she wasn't actually gonna lip-sync. But the tease of having her stand on the main stage made me think even even more about how cool it would be to have her on All Winners. Look, call me delusional all you want, but there's a very slight chance that Bianca would say yes to competing, especially considering the format of having no eliminations, and the precedent that was set with All-Star 7 leaving behind at least a framework of what to expect. But we will get into what format would fit best for All Winners 2 later on in this video. Up next on the list, we have Aquaria, the winner of Season 10. Now, in the same way Violet represented the younger demographic of the fanbase, Aquaria did too, but in a slightly elevated way. Of course, this doesn't refer to runway packages, but part of why Aquaria's story was so significant was that she was raised with the series. Having watched the first 3 seasons when they aired, networking with some of the big names of the 4th season just from being a stan, until ultimately inserting herself into the New York City drag scene at 18 years old, to the point that everyone knew about her name for the seasons leading up to Season 10. And as soon as she became old enough to compete, she was immediately cast, eventually earning herself a crown. Having Aquaria on the cast would offer a great direct competition for Violet in terms of the runway game, since they both would be viewed as the ones to watch for that component of each episode. Plus, they do offer different perspectives in their approach to looks. Speaking of looks though, when Simone won Season 13 in early 2021, I told myself that there wasn't a chance at all she'd ever return to compete again. Her trajectory could best be described as having bulldozed her way through the competition. I mean, even within the first 3 episodes she competed in, she would win 2 of the challenges. Having had a charisma that was through the roof, a great application to most of the challenges aside from the design ones, but most importantly, a runway package that not only kept up with queens like Gottmik, but offered a lot of commentary and layers each time she stepped on the runway. Her addition to the winner's circle came at just the right time, clearly being a point of inspiration for queens that came after. Since then, she's remained pretty low-key with her status. Some would consider her to be a fashion queen, but she's also someone that would excel beyond just the runway. Now, in terms of the last queen within the main seasons that should be considered, is Nymphia Wind, the winner of Season 16. Naturally, my initial assumption would be to say that since Season 16 is so fresh, that Nymphia wouldn't have any interest in wanting to compete again. But not only is her reign about to end, there's also been so many contestants in general where people felt that they wouldn't come back because they were already in the forefront of the fan base, yet they still ended up coming back. So I wouldn't put it past Nymphia to view it as yet another business venture where she'll get to network with other queens. What's more is that I wonder if once she does come back, she'll deliver a new brand, similar to how she did Yellow Banana throughout Season 16. Essentially, there would still be a lot of benefit if she came back, but it would be a surprise if she agreed to come back so soon. So then, that's about it for the main seasons. And now, we're gonna look at the winners of All-Stars to see who could add the most and raise the stakes of the competition. First off, we have Alaska, the winner of All-Stars 2. For some reason, Alaska was not even given an invite to compete on the first All Winners. Some argued that maybe it was because they were saving her for the next one to not use all of their heavy hitters at once, but the fact that they didn't even reach out when they were trying to compile a rough draft of the cast for All-Star 7 is very telling. The relationship between World of Wonder and Alaska is one that I do hope is mended in the near future, because having Alaska back would be like having the final puzzle piece that brings it all together. While a lot of other queens would return by focusing on providing a stellar run indicative of their talents, queens like Alaska and Bob would be there because they truly only want the crown, to have those bragging rights for the rest of your life. Up next, we have Chad Michaels, the winner of All-Stars 1. She's said time and time again that she has no interest in ever returning to the franchise, aside from when she returns to do walkthroughs with RuPaul. This is proof enough that she doesn't hate the production, and does see the value in the series. So then, knowing that she's a big fan of the Hunger Games, and that she considered All-Stars 1 to be the Hunger Games herself, then we simply will have to tell her that All-Stars 11 is the quarter quell, and that previous winners will have to face off. This would put her in a position where she will have no option but to accept the invitation, since she knows that if she doesn't follow the orders of President Snow, then the whole district that Mother Dust lives in would be in total danger. Additionally, Chad Michaels would also provide representation in the cast towards the older seasons, given that All-Stars 1 aired in 2012. So then, who from the All-Stars franchise would be up next for consideration? This may seem like a weird choice, since it's often talked about in terms of All-Star winners that Kylie Sonique Love, the winner of All-Star 6, is the weakest one, with many thinking that the crown for All-Star 6 should have gone to either Raja O'Hara or Ginger Minj. Mostly because Kylie only got one challenge win that season, and even that didn't seem the most deserved. But putting all of that aside, Kylie Sonique Love is still a winner, but not just that. Kylie has had a pretty close friendship with Sasha Colby, having been roommates together at one point, and Sasha even let her borrow some outfits for All-Star 6. In many ways, Kylie and Sasha Colby have really similar aesthetics when it comes to their drag. While one may out-edge the other in some areas, they would do a really good job at leveling each other and having a pre-established friendly rivalry going into it. So based on that alone, it makes me interested in considering Kylie for the final cast. So then, who would be the last queen from the All-Stars franchise that we should consider to return? Well, for me, it would have to be Jimbo, the winner of All-Stars 8. Jimbo always had winner energy from the moment she first appeared on Canada's Drag Race Season 1. Plus, her run on UK vs. the World Season 1 only proved that there was something about her that not everyone understood, but RuPaul did. That's why she'd inevitably get invited to All-Stars 8 and win the crown. A lot of people didn't like All-Stars 8 because it was so obvious that Jimbo was gonna win, but that was more so a fault in casting her alongside a cast primarily comprised of queens that didn't do that well in their original season. So automatically, just based on skill alone, Jimbo was the most likely to win the crown since she was the most well-rounded. Therefore, it was pretty expected that she'd end up winning. Essentially, All-Stars 8 was largely bad because of a weak cast, with the clear frontrunner being Jimbo. So having her on all winners would have her competing against people that are just as well-rounded as she is. I mean, imagine a snatch game with Jimbo, Bob the Drag Queen, and Alaska. That would be a bloodbath. Now that we finish our main series winners, there's 3 more additions that I'd like to bring to consideration. First is Lawrence Chaney, the winner of Drag Race UK Season 2. If you watched UK's franchise, Lawrence is among their strongest competitors. She's not only charismatic, excelling in most of the comedy challenges, but she's also a seamstress who's able to design and create outfits with ease. All of this while actively being one of RuPaul's favorite contestants. I mean, for Ru to be able to remember a winner from years in the past, after she films like 10 seasons a year, it's quite the achievement to literally have Ru at DragCon visiting your booth because she was happy to see you and felt compelled enough to talk to you. This essentially would place Lawrence as one of the biggest threats in the competition, just based off the fact that Ru is so obsessed with her. Then we have Blue Hydrangea, the winner of UK vs. the World Season 1. That's a name you probably are even just shocked I'm mentioning on the list. Blue is the winner of the first ever international All-Stars to ever take place in the franchise. Yet her win was questioned by a lot of people since she pretty much only won because the frontrunners kept being eliminated back to back, especially with Blue deciding to eliminate Pangina. To this day, it affects her status as a winner. So then, why not provide her with the opportunity to prove herself in an all-winner season? This could either go really great or be a complete flop for her, but it's sometimes necessary to have at least one queen in the cast that's a wild card. I mean, everyone else would for sure underestimate her, so it would only drive her towards wanting to do well and change the perception people have of her. And now for our last addition for our considerations list is Spanky Jackson, the winner of Down Under Season 2. Chances are you haven't watched Down Under, and I don't blame you since a lot of their production comes across as super cheap. Spanky, being a cheap queen herself though, thrived in Season 2. Had we seen her on a US franchise, she probably would have ended up an early out, but in Down Under standards, she was a frontrunner for that crown. Her win was actually significant in showcasing that you didn't have to be polished or have good looks or have good hair to end up winning the whole thing, as long as you had an X factor that could make Ru laugh, surprisingly making her one of the clear frontrunners to earning that crown. So this would place her in the underdog category if she did make the final cast. Now, if all winners does happen, what should the format of the season be? Automatically, they'll have to bring back the non-elimination since a good portion of the queens wouldn't want to return if they risked being the first eliminated, but at the same time, they can't just redo what they did on All-Stars 7. Even then, the sense of no stakes radiated from a couple of the contestants. What they could do is guarantee each queen 7 episodes, and once they reach the last section of the season, we can start seeing them get eliminated in groups depending on how they perform. We could also brainstorm in the comments of this video since I know a lot of you could probably come up with some insane things with your imagination. Now, we're gonna dwindle this list of 16 queens, but before that, you probably noticed that I didn't mention a lot of international winners in my list. And that's because I truly feel that the second Global All-Star season should be comprised of winners from the international franchises all coming together in front of RuPaul. Most of the time, winners from international franchises get brushed aside because the runner-ups are the ones that get invited to Versus the World. Given that the first Global All-Star season was a huge flop, where pretty much nobody, including the queens, liked it, production might as well go all out this time and platform the winners of their respective countries, so that they can truly have their legacy as a winner be solidified by competing in front of RuPaul and the rest of the world. With that out of the way, let me showcase to you who I think would make a great final cast. Out of these considerations, let me know who you would have switched out, who you agree with, and any other winner you would have liked to see. Without further ado, our 8 spots in the final final cast are Bob the Drag Queen, winner of Season 8, Alaska, winner of All Stars 2, Violet Chachki, winner of Season 7, Sasha Velour, winner of Season 9, Bibi Zahara Benet, winner of Season 1, Sasha Colby, winner of Season 15, Kylie Sonique Love, winner of All Stars 6, and Lawrence Chaney, winner of UK Season 2. This seems like a pretty balanced cast, but how would you react if this was official? Would you add anyone? Keep it the same? Let me know in the comments. At the end of the day, having an all-winner season is much more than just having winners to see who the superior contestant is. It's about once again having them get the opportunity to provide us with content that we can use to remember them in the future. So whenever or however the next edition is, we will for sure be watching. I also want to let you guys know that I have deep dives made on most of the queens that I mentioned on this list, and they will be linked below. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring today's video. Please make sure to click the link in the description to order your first box and use code 50Greengate to get 50% off plus free shipping. This is a pretty good deal, so try it out even if it's just to check out what it's like. I want to take a moment to thank my patron. In the pink squad, we have Matthew Burns, Sari Tish, Las Potitas, Gay Uncle, Natasha De Leon, Cool Gal Nan, and Jet Sam Adams. And in the green squad, we have Cayman Rider Furry, or Diesel Placer depending on what time of day you catch him, Edgar Allan Pup, The Only Sean, IJS, Not a Punch, but a Geek, Jack Beck, Bashir with the Good Beard, Galeria Gomez, Sarah G, Boiled Peanut, Max Whale, Olivia Marr, Dea, Dea, and Scarlet Rose. If you'd like to see your name on the screen, you can support me on Patreon. The link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.